Well, when we were at White Sands, we were working on our rocket experiment. I did rocket astronomy when I was a graduate student, and my colleague and I, another graduate student, were responsible for the sensors that took the data on various objects in the infrared. And when we got to the White Sands Missile Range, I had to wear a skirt because they did not allow women to wear pants on a military range. And in those days, skirts were fairly short. And I had to be on the ground some of the time doing things at the base of the experiment. And so it was fairly difficult to make sure that I wasn't revealing myself too much when I was working there. So that was an interesting experience.
What did you do about that?
Well,
did you just live with it?
Yes, there's nothing you can do. I mean, it was a military base. There were certain rules. You did what they said. Another thing, at that time I had not become an American citizen. So I had to be accompanied everywhere I went. And that was not so pleasant either. But it was how the military was in those days. And we were guests at the military range. We were not people who could be complaining about it because we were there because they said we could launch our rocket from there. So I lived with it, yes. And I was careful to, keep my knees together and so on.
Were you the only woman there?
Oh, yes. I was the only woman there.
And how, what were your relationships like with your colleagues there?
With my colleagues, they were fine. My fellow graduate student, he and I worked together quite a lot. We even worked together after I had graduated and he had graduated, and we were in positions other places. One time we were heading to the National Radio Astronomy Observatory's 3-element interferometer, which is no longer an astronomy observatory, but we were to take some radio data on some objects we had been looking at. And the two of us were going with a third man, an older gentleman, who was one of these people who, was always sort of rushing forward and opening doors and doing what he considered appropriate behavior with a woman. And so Tom said to me one time, "I'll fix this for you." And the three of us were walking somewhere, and he tripped over my feet and opened the door and went in first. And I thought that was an interesting way to make a point.